Yes, Ishida ma'am, you can start.
Thank you. A very good evening to all present, mentors and educators. I, Ishita Barua Kamdar, an educator myself, would like to welcome you all to today's session of competency-based education in general science lesson planning. NEP 2020 called for a shift from a summative assessment system of rote memorization to competency-based learning, which is not just regular and formative, but also helps in promoting higher order thinking skills like analysis, critical thinking, conceptual clarity, and thereby promotes it and encourages and helps our education system to meet the skill requirement of the 21st century. The vision for today's session will be to help us understand how to integrate knowledge, skill, and attitude into the learning experience through our lesson planning. As it goes without saying that a structured and updated lesson plan is not just a model of organized learning, but also a tool to build a learning environment that promotes successful flow of knowledge. Once more, I welcome you all to today's session of Competency-Based Education in General Science Learning Planning, organized by CBSE Bharat Sahodaya Complex. And one name that goes synonymous with Bharat Sahodaya is Dr. Abdul Salam Sir. Dr. Abdul Salam, General Secretary Bharat Sahodaya, Principal, the Oxford School Trivandrum, a renowned CBSE resource person, Deputy Training Coordinator COE Trivandrum. I would now request Dr. Abdul Salam Sir to welcome all present.
Thank you, Ms. Ishida, and thank you all participants. I must appreciate all the participants for joining us today on our long journey for new learning experiences. And wholeheartedly appreciate each and everyone, as we could see a lot of teachers amidst their daily chores, tasks, domestic chores, and with babies and all, we could see on camera as well, struggling. They are struggling in their profession, but still they're at their dedication and passion cannot be neglected. And if we do not provide such platforms for these hardworking, smart working, and dedicated teachers, then our very existence becomes meaningless. So we are very fortunate and we are very glad to have all on board with us today for in our long journey that continues with CBE, competency-based education. Today, the session is on science, general science up to grade 10. And at this juncture, let me welcome our dear President of Bharat Sahodaya, who has been guiding and motivating us, Mr. Shibu, yes, to this August gathering. And we have been blessed with two special personalities, appearances, we should say. Our chief guest, Benny George, Mr. Benny George, who has been leading Kottayam Sahodaya. In Kerala, we have more than 25 Sahodaya, and Kottayam Sahodaya is one of the oldest Sahodaya and is being guided and led very effectively by Benny George sir. And we are very happy to have Mr. Benny George on board with us today, and hearty welcome to Benny George sir. And we have very enthusiastic, very dedicated, very smart resource person today who have been associating with us for many sessions. This is the fourth session, I believe. Miss Poonam Saxena from Haryana, and she has been working closely with the CBSE COE Panchkula region, and she is here with us today for giving us a new learning experience on CBE science. So
Thank you.
let's all put our hands together to welcome Ms. Poonam Saxena on board. Thank you so much for joining and extending your contribution to the teaching learning community. And our dearest patron is there, Miss Jayanti. Jayanti ma'am has been our backbone, leading us. And hearty welcome to Jayanti ma'am, Mr. Biju, our treasurer. Hearty welcome, sir, and all the participants, each and everyone is very special to us. And no one is unimportant. Everyone is so special to us because you are the motivation to Bharat Sahodaya. And we are taking this platform only for you. So thank you so much. Enjoy the session. Thank you and have a very good evening. Over to Ishida. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Shibu, the President of Bharat Sahodaya and the Chairman of Bharat EduServe. Sir, I would request you to kindly address the attendees.
Thank you, Ishida. Respected General Secretary and my dear brother, Mr. Abdul Salam. And today's our chief guest is Mr. Benny George, President Kottayam Sahodaya. Our treasurer and my dear brother, Mr. Biju S. Pillai. Our patron, Jayanti ma'am. Today's resource person, Ms. Poonam Saxena, Principal, Scholars Global School, Jajjar Haryana, CBSE resource person, moderator Ms. Ishida Barua, Physics faculty, Akshara International School, Pune, and my dear teachers. Today's our chief guest is Mr. Benny George. He is the president of Kottayam Sahodaya. As we all know that...
Shibu sir, can you speak a bit louder, please?
Yes, audible sir now?
Yes, better.
Okay, fine. As we all know that Kottayam is a district of Kerala. In Kerala, only one Sahodaya is existing. That is Kottayam Sahodaya. In Kottayam, only one Sahodaya is existing. That is Kottayam Sahodaya, and it is because of his leadership quality. All the schools of Kottayam district is joined in Kottayam Sahodaya only. Now, we two are working as the executive members in Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya complexes. Earlier, he was Vice President of Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya complexes. We are extremely honored to have such a person like Benny George as our chief guest for this webinar. I have found him as a bold and brave man with great ideology, determination, and vision. We all know that how to write a lesson plan, but it helps the teacher in the following way. 1. Incorporate the 3 M's of effective teaching. They are the basic objectives of the course. 2. A collection of teaching and learning activities. Next is assessment method. The next step, the perfect time management tool in classroom. Builds the confidence of teachers. A clear roadmap to effective teaching. A boon to struggling students. Gain recognition as a poignant teacher. A result-oriented practice. Set the anticipatory mood for students. A reference tool which facilitates swapping of teachers. Promotes a healthy learning environment. Handling over and professional performances. Prevent over-reliance on textbooks. It helps teachers to use different strategies, methods, make use of difficult tools to make teaching process more interesting. Here, Poonam Saxena ma'am will help us to prepare lesson plan and design with a focus on competency. Also, she will help us to know how to prepare competency-based questions. Before concluding my speech, I remember all the educators who are attending this webinar, who are giving us wholehearted support and encouragement to our attempts to empower the teaching fraternity, especially CBSE fraternity. I also welcome all of you in this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. It's my privilege to introduce and welcome our chief guest to the session, Mr. Benny George, President Sahodya Kottayam, Principal St. George Public School, Chudachari Kottayam, former Joint Secretary Confederation of Kerala Sahodya Complexes, former Organizing Secretary Confederation of Kerala Sahodyas, resource person CBSE COE Trivandrum, more than 30 years in the field of education, including Master Gazetted in Economics, Bangalore Military School, Principal St. Thomas School, Whitefield, Bangalore, Principal Nimla Public School, Muzatapuza. Sir, I would request you to to say a few words for the all present here. Sir, sorry, but can you please unmute yourself? You are unmuted right now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. So thank you, Ishita ma'am. So dear friends, we are participating and I am much privileged to be a part of this 53rd web training series organized by Bharat Sahodaya. As it is already known and as it was already well presented also, this training intend the professional development of teachers, particularly our science teachers. At the very outset, I extol the team Bharat Sahodaya for this noble venture, especially to my close friend and the leader of this Bharat Sahodaya, the president of Bharat Sahodaya, Mr. Shibu S. A man with a great vision, because I know him very personally, because we are very closely associated with him. And of course, again we have this Dr. Abdul Salam, a great visionary, very energetic leader, vibrant General Secretary of this Sahodaya movement anywhere in India, a very vibrant General Secretary, very active, and the heart and soul of this noble movement, what you have begun here, because we are participating in the 53rd webinar organized by Sahodaya in the country. It's a great task, great achievement. And I'm very happy to be a part of this. I was eagerly waiting for a chance. I am very lucky to be a part of this program today. Very lucky to be a part of this program today. And this great team. And of course, I have other great personalities who are very close to me. Dr. Jayanti ma'am, for a long time association with her. And as it is already known, your treasurer, Mr. Biju, and all other members of Bharat Sahodaya. So teachers, today the science teachers are participating in it, and exactly before 5 o'clock itself I could find it has crossed, the participation had already crossed your maximum limit. Was wondering how the number was going up in no time. As you just begun, no time the number was going up. So how the people have taken it all over, how they are appreciating the program initiated by this Sahodaya, Bharat Sahodaya. So teachers, you are the elite dominant minority shaping the destiny of progeny. This dominant minority thus kindling and rekindling the academic luminosity of the new generation. Therefore, proper trainings are needed. Proper awareness is to be created to make potent what is latent in a child. And this program also intends to this. That is what we have come to know about it, as it was well presented also by Ms. Ishita Barua. COVID-19, this pandemic, changed the normal human life. And of course, our normal education system also was affected. And a new normal emerged in our educational scenario. In such a challenging situation, our teachers, of course, especially we are proud of saying it, especially our CBSE fraternity, CBSE teachers, did perform very well. Actually, teachers are the spark, the inspiration, the guide, and the candle to our children. So teachers have risen up, realizing the need of the hour, and they have acted. So the basic focus of this session, as it was already known to us, made clear to us, is to change the mindsets, our own mindsets of our teachers. So of course, all of us are participating in it. We are all teachers. To make it relevant for the new academic year, the present academic year, and relevant for the scientifically advanced 21st century. We know knowledge is limited, but our imaginations are unlimited. Imagination is a trailblazer for scientific development, inventions, and discoveries. Only a passionate teacher is able to unfold the gifts and potentialities of the child. So in teaching, passion is needed, commitment is needed, dedication is needed. And I'm sure all these persons who are participating in this webinar to possess all these qualities. Because no time, as I said, this no time they have reached. See, it was clearly said, it's not convenient time for many, but they have ensured that
I think sir is stuck. Some connectivity issue. Sir, are you there? Not audible. Yes, sir has got everything disconnected or stuck. I think he has got disconnected. So, Ms. Ishida, we can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Vanessa. Let me now steer clear of the stage to welcome our eminent resource person, Ms. Poonam Saxena, who is a passionate educator and enjoys all the processes involved in spreading the light of knowledge. A postgraduate in zoology and education, but she still considers herself as a lifelong learner. She is the founder principal at Scholars Global School, Bahadurgarh, and nurtured the school from the very beginning. She is the recipient of the Inspiring Education Award twice from Rocksport and was among the top 100 effective principals of 2016. She has been awarded as the school leader to add international dimension to learning at school by British Council. a hub leader, and a resource person appointed by CBSE. Her hobbies include reading, watching documentaries, and traveling. I welcome you, ma'am, and thank you so much for gracing today's occasion. As we begin our learning today, I hope to witness an active interactive session amongst all present, followed by a session of question and answer. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, ma'am.
Madam, 1 minute. Mr. Benny, can you hear us?
Yes, Dr. Salam.
Yeah, please continue. Please continue. So, Poonam ma'am, just 1 minute.
No issue, sir. No.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to hear him.
Benny sir, please continue. Mr. Benny, you can unmute. Hello, he was speaking, and yes, sir, please.
So by attending classes anyway, we are getting an opportunity to express our own talents, especially for me also, for the teachers, all those who are participating. We are getting the opportunity. It's a real opportunity. We have made use of the opportunity. That's what Bharat Sahodaya complexes also have shown the way. They are use the opportunity to help all the CBSE schools, to help all CBSE fraternity. It's a real thing. Anyway, to perform well, teachers have to have made to ensure that they are participating in it, and they are to perform well in an alluring manner, because they have used this opportunity to shape the destiny of the nation. So we are participating in it with the intention to shape the destiny of our nation. That is what we are doing. This with that intention, all of us are participating in it. So I hope all of us are with that intention. So dear teachers, do work hard. Magic happens outside our comfort zone. Be comfortable with discomfort. Work hard. Impress yourself. Impress our children. Blaze new trials and seek new horizons. So, good wishes to Bharat Sahodaya and Team Bharat Sahodaya, to its great leaders, great visionaries, and to our resource person, Ms. Poonam Saxena, how well she was preparing, planning for the session. I was noticing right from the beginning, because as I entered, I could find her preparing, how well she was doing it, planning ahead of the thing. So how worthy the program is going to be. So it's going to be a real blessing. It's a real blessing for all those who are participating in it. I'm happy. Being a part of it, as I said right from the beginning. And to the moderator of this program is Shida Barua Kamthar from Pune. She's also well presenting the program, how well she was coordinating the program, right? From the beginning, I was noticing all these persons, great personalities do have the coordination of the teamwork, what was put up by the team Sahodaya, Bharat Sahodaya, and these great leaders. So my special appreciation, congratulations to them, and thanks to these resource persons and this moderator, and my congratulations and special great wishes to all those who are participating in this mega program. My congratulations for you, because you have the passion that has made you to participate in it. You are having the passion. You have shown that you are having the real passion to train our children well, to mold our children well. So with my appreciation to all of you, I remain. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Rightly said, sir. Thank you so much for your motivation. Ishudha ma'am, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for felicitating our occasion and also for such wonderful and encouraging words. I would now request Poonam Saxena ma'am to take over from here.
Thank you, Ishita. And first of all, I would like to thank the Almighty for giving me this platform, for opportunity, and Bharat Sahodaya for giving me this platform to share whatever little I have gathered in my career as a teacher and as a leader of the teachers. So, and as teachers, we all know that lesson plans are inevident. It has been a part of our learning. The day we decide to become teachers, we go for the degree. So what is new now? So why should we have an entire session on the lesson plan? What I have experienced over the years, that it has been 23, 24 years in my teaching career. So since the beginning, we were making the lesson plans, And lesson plans was something which the new teachers take it little casually. They think that we'll go in the class and we will teach depending on the situation. Why the principal wants us to make the lesson plan. But then I think now, coming all this far in my journey as an educator, I think when we plan well, half our problem is solved. Half our journey is covered when we plan well. So that is why lesson planning is very, very important. And education being a dynamic thing, science being equally dynamic, ever changing, ever developing. And see, all of us were thinking that we are doing a good job till the COVID wave came, and then we all learned a different way of teaching, learning. So the learning did not stop. We started exploring the online tools and all those things. So again, the teachers who were leading were led by the students when it came to the online classes, and they started learning. So learning is an inevitable thing, and something, the one who stops learning, they stop growing. This is what I believe in. So if I am at fault at any way, please kindly excuse me. So I will now share my PowerPoint. I'll maximize this 1 minute. So once again, thank you CBSE Bharat Sahodaya for giving me this opportunity to meet and share my experiences with the August gathering. So why now we need to relearn what learning is all about, and why this competency-based education is the new norm according to the new education policy. So we all are aware. We all are aware that the times are changing. We have reached the 21st century, and we cannot teach the way that the children will be the generation of the 22nd century. So we cannot teach the way we have been learning in our own classroom that was decided by the 18th century, I'll say, classroom strategies. So it is important. The needs of the education are changing. One of the prime needs is to earn a livelihood. So when we are giving knowledge to the children, when we are giving only the content-based knowledge, are they able to lead a successful life? So with the coming of the 21st century and then the new education policy, the need for this was observed because so many educated youth were still unemployed, were not able to do the task they were required to do, because during their training they were not trained to solve the problem. They were not trained to look to search the problem, to develop inquiry towards all these things. So the 21st century knowledge is that we all are aware is at the click of the button. And to be successful in life, we all know skills are important, and more important are is the ability to apply the skills and the knowledge in our life to solve the problem, to solve our problems, to solve the problem of the society, to solve the problems of the world, because we all know now the earth is a global village. So whatever solutions we do it at our own level, directly or indirectly affects the world. So much power we have. And when we all know India being a nation, which is the youngest nation, so the children in the classroom today will be leading the country of tomorrow. So when they are given the right skills, the right knowledge, the right ability, the right attitude, so they will be definitely using this knowledge to become better human beings, and will be able to solve and foresee the problems which they are going to face. So now the next question is, what is competency? So we all will agree that so far whatever I have discussed, that competency is something, a combination of skills, abilities and knowledge needed to perform a specific task. So if we say that a person is a competent driver, so that means he has all the skills, all the knowledge to drive the car carefully and of course explore new avenues or find out new directions wherever he is directed to take it, using the technology, using the communication skills, or maybe the foresight that is there. So a competency is a general and evolving accumulation of related capabilities that facilitate learning and other forms of goal attainment. So therefore, competency-based education stresses acquisition and demonstration of targeted knowledge and skills. So it is not only that we are acquiring, but we need to help the children show the observable change after that topic or that knowledge is given to the child. For example, if we are talking about energy conservation, how the energy needs to be conserved, how important that it is important to conserve the electricity, and the child knows all the possible ways, but when he or she leaves the classroom, they forget to switch off the fan or the light when nobody is there. So what point is there in knowing all the theory but not applying in our lives? So that is why competency based education is important to make a sensible society which cares for each other and of course for the planet earth. So this is what all about competency-based education. So now the next question that comes to us is why we should, what's wrong with our own education system? Why we need to have all these skills and attitudes I'll say amalgamated with the knowledge which we are sharing? It is that we all are aware that this competency-based education, it demonstrates mastery, it is measurable and specific outcomes. We are able to give remediation to the children, and we are able to help children apply that knowledge, assess the knowledge, evaluate the knowledge, and create something out of whatever they have gained in order to make life simpler for all the followers of that. So it fosters individualized and personalization. We all know that whenever we are talking, many of us, we say, class, we are going to do this, class, we are going to do this. And in this class, we forget that each child who is a roll number to us is also an individual. He or she has its own specific needs or talents which needs to be recognized, and they might need some help. So it is very important that whatever we are doing in the classroom should be individualized and personalized. So what is known about how students learn, and we need to develop how they are learning, and ultimately helping them to become learners, self-learners. So when we say that they become self-learners, they do not require anybody. They become learners forever, because dynamics will change, the times will change. And if they know how to learn new things, they will not be required. No teacher will be required. The teacher's role will be only the guide by the side. So all these things are important for competency-based education, and that is why we need to follow this. A lot of, I think, some, 1 second, sorry, I'm not able to, yeah. So when we talk about the basic principles of CBE or competency-based education, so the children advance at their own pace. So if a child is good in mathematics, will naturally go next level in the mathematics, or if a child is good in languages, they will go a next level in the languages. But then if they need some support in the sciences or other, so that will be taken care of. So the children differentiated learning happens, and individual say methodology, the scientific methodology, the classroom technology which they use is definitely to touch upon the multiple intelligence nature of the child that is there. Then comes the students, they receive timely and individualized support. If they are struggling somewhere, the teacher is there to guide them, or maybe to give them direction that they need to revise, or they need to go back to the basics and help them with the basics, so that in the present class they are able to understand what is happening in the class. And whatever the children are doing, whatever activities, scientific activities they are doing in the class, even not only the scientific activities, but their post-scholastic activities, which are they doing, how they are behaving, how they responsible they are, how they are helping other children, how, what is their attitude towards science, how are they developing the scientific temper in themselves. All that is observed and assessed for their further enhancement. So assessment that not only happens for learning, of learning, it happens for learning and as learning. So these are some of the very important things of a competency based education. Then the assessments are meaningful, so that there are no grades or not only grades or marks are given to differentiate between the excellent and the weaker children. They are assessed on the various levels of competencies which they are learning in the classroom. So I will be touching upon that in detail in the PowerPoint later on. So this is very important that everything is defined. The parents are aware, the teachers are aware, the student is aware where they lie, in which category or in which level of competency they are. Either they are masters, or they are strugglers, or they are learning, they are approaching, or they are meeting that competency level. So nobody is say isolated that you cannot do this. Everybody has their own pace, and that is appreciated. And there at the same time, remediation is done for all the concepts which are not very clear to the children. And then technology plays a very important role in the competency based education. Why? Because of when we are individualizing education, how can a teacher humanly keep a record of all the competency what is happening, and all the students in the class and all the classes which she is teaching? So technology, when we are assessing, taking the formative assessment in the type of quizzes or in the MS forms and all that, the analysis shows that which student has marked this particular question wrong, or which question has been answered all correct by the by the students of that particular class. So it is, I would say that it is very, very good that technology is used, and sometimes the lectures are recorded which are shared with the children. They can hear the lecture again and again and can clarify the concept which cannot be done in the classroom. So technology will be used, and even the children in the remote areas where the, I'll say, the remotest of country is so vast. Even in the remotest corner, this, because of technology, that see, you can see this platform is being catering not only to India but outside India also. So technology is being used for also transferring the information and giving the access even to the child who is in the remote corner to the best of the lectures which are being done. Not only lectures but also on the I'll say the e-resources, and of course the demonstration or the videos, what all is freely available outside, not in their city or in their town, but also outside. So technology will definitely play a big role in this, and everything is transparent. The caste, the creed, the strata of the economics will not affect the learning of the children or the recognition of the children as the over or as the master of that particular competency. So this is very important, that technology will help the teachers to do better than becoming technology becoming a burden for the teachers to learn, because they will, that is going to help and help the teacher keep a record of the progress of each and every child. That is how 360-degree recording of the 360-degree report card will be taken care of, or not only the cognitive domain, but everything will be looked into it. So I think we all will agree that now we have we have reached a situation that we can compare. What will be the difference? The difference will be, earlier the schedule was that the teacher will be finishing this chapter. Once we know that we have 220 days of teaching learning in the classes, so the teacher will plan the syllabus, and whether the child understands or doesn't understand, the chapters will be covered and the test will be taken. The children will be marked in whichever percentage or whichever grade they are. But when we are following the competency-based education, the scheduling is modular and flexible, because we are talking about the competencies in that particular chapter, not about the topics or only the knowledge-based things. And then some of the time that learning can happen even beyond the classroom. Why? Because of the technology usage, the lectures can be recorded and be used. And then the schedules will be personalized, and asynchronous learning will happen. So when we say asynchronous, that means the entire class is not learning all together. The entire class is learning at their own pace. So if I am doing fine and I am understanding whatever is the teacher is doing, I will be going to the next level of the competency, maybe in terms of the e-resources, or maybe in terms of e-assignments which the teacher is going to give. But then if I am not able to achieve the basic competency, I will be revising the things and having the online sessions with the teacher and understanding. And peer education, means that students take teaching their peer will also take place. So this is going to be that the schedules will not be fixed. Then the instructional design and delivery will not be chalk and talk, or like typical lecture style, but then it will be multiple learning configurations and learning spaces will be there. The children will be on demand instructional decisions based on the student's needs. So if a child cannot understand by just listening, the demonstration will be done. If a child cannot learn by just watching, the child will be allowed to practice, do hands-on activities themselves. So this is what is going to happen. Then coming to the assessment, as I already mentioned that normally we do summative assessments, we do the assessment for learning, we have midterm exam, UTs, or end of the year exam. But then now the assessments will be in a way of formative assessment, the assessment for learning and assessment as learning. So this is going to be taking place, and the tasks which are definitely required from the career angle will be enhanced, those competency will be strengthened. So this is what are the three changes from where we will be going to where. Then come talking about grades and reporting. Again, the grades and reporting will be substantially between that. Normally it is between the teachers and the school, but now the parents are also going to be. Even the peer assessment will also take place. When the child is doing some assessment, some activity in the class is going to assess them, as we have already, many of you would be doing in the art integrated learning. Then coming to the promotion and crediting. So normally we say either pass or fail, but now we will be crediting the competencies or competency bundles upon achieving a specific performance. So we can map it with the traditional courses. So these are the changes which are going to happen when we are doing the competency-based education. So when we summarize the whole thing, we know that the 6 components are we'll say the learning of outcomes are defined, what we will be seeing the observable change in the students. Then there is flexibility of time. Then we are using multiple pedagogy because of differential learning. We are using all the possible ways to cater to all the differently abled and the multiple intelligent, multiple nature children, so that the technology will be, all these things are being done. Then inquiry-based learning will also play an important role, where the teachers are only helping children ask the right questions. And then the testing will be for the learning outcome. It is not that when we have the teacher goes with an objective and then gives the end of the year exam. Now this is not going to happen. The teachers will be checking for the learning outcomes, that is the observable changes happening in the children as a result of the knowledge and the skills which they are learning. So this is something in brief about the competency-based education. So let's have a small test. All of you can see that the competency-based education, so it's a self-test. You are checking yourself. So you will not be awarded marks. It is a formative assessment happening, that whatever we have discussed so far, whether you are clear with the basics of that. So the competency-based education allows for variation in, so the answer could be the amount of learning, holding time constant, educators' competencies, holding learning constant, the amount of time, holding learning constant, both time and learning. So I think you all will be agreeing. What is your answer? What is your answer? You can put it in the chat box if you wish. You can put it in the chat box. Comment.
Mostly say D.
Okay. So I think D is the correct answer. Then coming to the accountability is unimportant in CBE systems. We all know that accountability is true or false, which is right. I think accountability is very important, that if a child passes class 12 and without having the basic competencies in place, so it is very, very important that the entire education is wasted. That is why so much of unemployment in spite of the education is happening in our nation. So the answer is, I think, false. Most of you must have said. And then coming to the one basic tenet of a CBE model is a differentiated student support is provided based on their needs and interests. Technology is always used during instruction. Age-based instructional grouping is used. The use of summative assessments at the end of the school year. So I think all of you must have answered A. And if you have done all these answers were right in your mind, you are clear with the basic concept of competency-based education. So now coming to the lesson plans, as shared earlier, but if we plan well, half of our problem is solved, half of our activity is accomplished, task is accomplished. So this is very, very important for all of us to plan the lesson plans, because in the classroom we have different type of learners, the dreamers, the doers, the talkatives, the problem solvers, the leaders. So the lesson plan has to be planned in a way that it engages all the types of learner coming from whichever part of the world, whichever part of the society, whichever strata of the economics they are coming from. It is important for that. So if a teacher is not as focused in the weekends that she has to do the lesson plan, she's not going anywhere. So then only I think the week is going to be a good one, because the planning has been done. So we should not take the lesson plans lightly. So when we are planning the lessons, what should be in our mind? A teacher's mind. Who I am teaching. It is very important which grade I am teaching, what kind of learners are there in my class, what is the mental level of the class. I will say how quickly or how slowly they learn. They like to do hands-on, they are participative, or they are shy learners, they are quiet learners. So this is very important. See, if I want to reach Mumbai, I need to have a plan to reach Mumbai, not a plan to go to, say, Arunachal Pradesh or maybe any other city in this country. So we have to see that our plan needs to take us to our learners. So that is very important. The second thing is, what am I teaching? So first is who I am teaching. About the students, we should know our children very well. And then the topic, what topic is important, what all competencies will be covered in this, all the things, all the skills which I will be looking forward for that, what will be the content I will be looking forward for that in my lesson plan. And then coming, how are the teaching methodology or the pedagogy, which all the teachers are very, very keen to know how to engage the children, how to make them learn better, and how to create an environment of self-learning so that the learning goes beyond the classroom. So how will I teach is the teaching learning activities which the teachers do in the class. So that also needs to be foreseen, planned, depending on what I am teaching. So if I am teaching something to do which are observable changes, I need to do a practical for that. If something it is abstract, then I need to make it more simpler, break it into smaller segments so that the children are able to understand. But then if something, let's say if I'm talking about environment, then I think I need to, because children needs to be I'll say abreast with whatever they are observing around them. So let them become the major, let them contribute to the discussion, let them come up with their own presentation, how they perceive that in their minds. So how will I teach is very important. Then coming to how will I know if the students understand. So next is the assessment. How will I, so it will not be end of the chapter exam or end of the unit exam. It is going to be whatever things I'm doing in the class regularly, that needs to be assessed. So if I'm trying to help the children know the structure of a cell, the child needs to have that skill to draw the structure of the cell. The child needs to know the different functions of the organelle, cell organelles. So all these things are the entire topic is broken down into smaller things, and then child needs to develop the you can say appreciation that the microscope has helped them see a cell. So they need to develop that regard, respect for the scientists who invented the microscope. So this is very important for all of us. So now here is a small video which I've shared with you, and it will be playing. So that will give you in brief about what all is going to be in the lesson plan, and what all points are the key points which we all need to keep in mind. So it doesn't have any kind of voice, but as music will play, but then please read whatever is given. So I have switched on, played. So the 5 aspects, the first one is the objective. So lessons without directions can be difficult to follow. So we have to know where we have to go, which direction. So that will be the objective. So you can see the plan is very important. So then is the method of presentation, whether they are going to do the research, whether the e-tools are used, MS Window, pencil, calculator. So what we have learned is variety is the key to engagement. Children get bored very fast. So we will have variety of the activities happening in the class. And the third one is the exploration of the content. So we should give the children an opportunity to practice. So when we have done the experiment, tell the children, now you try how this happens, how the starch test will be done. You try. You draw now. Now you come up on the board and explain to all of them. Then the differential strategies. We all have been talking about all children are not same. You can see the children have different levels of learning. And the purpose of in planning to meet the diverse needs of our students. So again, the children, we have to always, normally what we do, we forget the higher achieving students. We are always focusing on the remedial. So we need to support them also. That is how the constructivism teaches us. So formative assessments also have to be differentiated. Different forms should be done. So depending on how the children are able to express them. So we have to focus on learning and not on teaching. This is very, very important. So the 5.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself. We are unable to hear you, ma'am.
So it is over. Yes. So I think we all have seen that how the learning takes place. So that is, yeah. So I think that video must have given an idea what is important. Apart from lesson plan, when we have these things in mind, it is very, very important for all of us to keep that the learning strategies have to be differentiated. We have to have a variety. So variety is the key. So when we go on talking for a long time, children get bored. Their engagement is over. So in the class is over. So we have to have those after every 15, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we need to have something different in that. Especially in the online era, I always suggest the teachers to break the class into 3 or 4 parts and have different things happening. Let the children speak, let the children read, let the children discuss, let them perform, let them role play. So when the children are actively participating, their engagement is very, very high. So now coming back to the lesson plans, the first thing which we all have learned in our B.Ed, that we have to select the content area what all things we are going to teach in this month. Then we have to, it is equally important to talk about to isolate or separate the key concepts and the connectors needs to be separated, so that the more focus on framing the learning outcomes have to be that these things are clear in the minds of the students. So then coming to that, next is the exploration and filtering of varied resources. There are ample resources available now with the digitalization in education. Everything, as I have already shared, is at the click of the mouse. But then there are lesson plans given by the in the CBSE, a lot of things the CBSE and NCRT has done for the teachers. They have simplified everything, and the only thing is we need to explore and find out whatever is the best resource, which books, which question paper, which formative assessment. So all that the teacher needs to scan, so that the children are given a differentiated experience. So everybody doesn't learn by just teaching in the same way. When we explore and when we see that the children are getting more engaged in the learning, and while doing those activities they are participating better and learning better. So the deep learning happens only when the children are engaged. When they are engaged, that is, their mind, body and soul are in the same spirit, so they are all aligned with the goal. That is, the goal is the learning goal. And when they learn with this in this manner, the learning is deep means they never forget what they have learned. Then when we have taken up all the resources, so we need to find out, filter it out, that some may be unnecessary also. Next comes the design of teaching. It is very important, and we have so many sessions on teaching of science, how the science can be made impactful. We all will agree that hands-on activities, diagrams, sketches, all these are very, very important. And sometimes the videos, we can say the PDFs can be shared. The children can go through it, have a view, have a picture, and understand better of what we are trying to say verbally. So design of teaching is very important, that how the teaching will happen in the class, the strategies, with I will be sharing about the different strategies which can be used for the teaching of science in the classroom. Then the fifth step is the preparation of the presentation. So when we are going in the class, what questions we are going to ask in the beginning, then what explanation I am going to give, which concept I am going to take more efforts on that, and then illustrations, what all I am going to draw on the board, what all things I will ask the children to sketch in their notebooks. So also the graphic organizers, all these and the diagrams are very, very important when I am teaching and my presentation of the lesson is happening in the class. Next comes the design of assessment. As we are talking about competency-based lesson plan, so assessment has to be differentiated. For different types of learners, we can have some basic knowledge-based questions. Then we need to have the, I'll say, application-based questions. Then we need to have the higher order thinking-based questions, one or two, for the higher achievers, so that their mind is also, I'll say, triggered to start thinking in a different manner. We cannot test them in the same way. We ask the basic questions and tell them, oh, you are master of that, without giving them an opportunity to try out on a next level of accomplishment. Then once the assessment is done, formative assessments we talk about. So when the child is drawing the diagram, when the child is fixing the circuit, when the child is explaining to their peers in think, pair, share, when the child is giving a debate or a presentation, the teacher is observing, teacher is listening, guiding them. Wherever they are stuck, they are helping them. And then when the test or MCQ test or such tests are taken, by through technology, we get an immediate response that how many, see, teachers have those eyes, they can understand what the children have understood. But then for online, when we are not in person, so these kind of tests are very, very important. These tests are diagnostic tests which tells us how much or how deep the child has understood a particular concept. Then coming to the when the review has taken place, remediation has happened, we have given some extra notes, extra clarity, or broken down the subject or made the language. Sometimes the teachers, they use such difficult language for a smaller age group. The child may understand the concept but may not understand what the teacher is saying. So we have to keep that in mind. The language has to be age appropriate. The vocabulary which we use has to reach to the understanding of those children. So coming then next is the preparation of the assignment. When the unit is done, then the entire thing, like a summative assignment, that can be done. And again, that it need not be all written. It can be all maybe in different forms, maybe let's say a PowerPoint making, maybe a model making, maybe a art integrated project, maybe I'll say inquiry based project. So all these things can be done in the form of assignment, not only the pen and paper test. It can be non pen and paper test also, that is there. So as I shared with you, that whatever the points which we should keep in mind for the lesson plan, these 8 points. But then again we are only talking about the cognitive part of our learning outcome. We have to keep the skills in mind. Yes, a few skills can also be mastered by regular practicing, but then what about our attitude? What about our abilities to collaborate, to communicate, to be confident? So that needs to be kept in mind by the teachers. That is the core scholastic aspects we need to mix along with our lessons. So a lot of group work is now being encouraged, because see, if I can, by doing my work, maybe I am able, maybe I am competent enough to do the things myself, but then when I'm going in the work scenario, lot of group work, we how to contact, communicate with the team members, how to boost their the morale of the people working under us. All these skills are developed when we are doing collaborative learning in the classroom. We understand other person better. We become more compassionate, more empathetic. We do not only need scientists, we need peacemakers. Also, the science should be used as a tool to help the people remove their superstitions and all their apprehensions about the life. So that these skills needs to be developed in the classroom. And when we are making a group, we need to take care that we have all the both the genders, and giving importance, the leadership role to be given. The children with the differently able children, the slow learners, should be mixed in the group, so that the society is not only made up of all the bright people. It is amalgamation of all the people from different castes, religion, and the economic background. So when we are making and talking about these aspects in the classroom, children are at the same time developing, along with their problem solving, decision making, analyzing, reasoning, evaluating skills. They are also developing their empathetic skills. Empathy is very important, that when the people, they stop judging others for their differences, they start accepting them for what they are. They are able to communicate for being understood, and they are listening for understanding the other person. Then they are also understanding the feelings. If a person is not able to do the task given by the teacher, how does it feel like? So they are able to observing, and they are seeing the world from everybody's eyes, not from their eyes. So this is very important, a very important aspect of competency based education that we need to keep in mind, along with the cognitive skills and the skills, the abilities, and the attitudes for being good in the society. Now, talking about in the science lesson plan, what should be the most important things? As I shared earlier, it has to be hands-on learning. It has to be hands-on learning activities. You must have heard, I see, I hear, I forget. I see, I I see, I understand, but when I do, I never forget. I completely understand what I am doing, what all things will make the let's say when we are talking about the water cycle, when I observe the water cycle, I do the experiment, I draw the water cycle in the form of a sketch, I understand how the water goes up and how it falls as precipitation. So I am not going to forget. So hands-on activities, when I have touched the leaves, how, whether they are rough or whether they are spines or whether they are soft, I will never forget that.
So that is why hands-on activities, when I'm doing the titration, when I'm focusing, my eye-hand coordination is improving. So I am able to calibrate how much liquid to drop for the phenolphthalein to drop so that the color doesn't change. So all these things are helping me not to forget what I am doing in the class. So practical experience is very important, whether the children go to the laboratory, whether they go to the science museum, whether they go to the field activities, whether they go to their mother's kitchen, whether they go to the industrial visit, whether they go for maybe a kitchen where they see the chemistry in the kitchen. So all these things are very, very important for all of us. Then comes the next thing which we should emphasize while we are planning the lesson: exploration of learners' misconceptions. We all know a lot of admissions take place, and in this current era, a lot of migration have taken place. Children have studied, and in the central government jobs, people do move from all over. So they may have learning gaps, or they may have some misconception which the teacher could not clear. So when they are in your class, when they are in my class, I should ensure that those misconception needs to be clarified. Otherwise, that gap will become permanent in their learning, and that will falter, or that will affect what they are learning in the next class. Also, their next competency level will also be affected. So it is very important. So this can be done by with the concept maps, by allowing the children to ask questions, and by answering their question, and then by KWL strategy. KWL strategy, we all are aware what the child knows, what the child wants to know, and what the child has learned. So before we are going talking about any topic in the class, we should do this in the class, or maybe for a unit, so that then we will be knowing, okay, this part, this, and many of the children are not aware of, so I need to reteach them, or maybe use a simpler way of making them understand. So if I have used a lecture, next time I will do a demonstration. If I have done a demonstration, I will do the experimentation. I will allow the children to perform the experiment. If I am not able to explain it very well, so I will use a video lecture of any other teacher, and I will play it in the class, or maybe I'll share it in the group, and they can watch it over and over again in the at home, so that they are at the same level when I am going to do the next competency. So this is very important for a science teacher. And then multiple resources, as I told you, differentiation is the key. So the same way, for better engagement, for differentiated learning, we need to use videos, we need to use pictures, we need to use this concept maps, the graphic organizers. So this will make science interesting, and this will make science effective. We can use art integration, we can use storytelling, we can use theater and drama. All these things should be incorporated in the lesson plan, but then appropriate to the topic. So this is where the teacher needs to sieve out whatever is required for that particular lesson plan, and what can be used later. That is there. Then next coming to the integration of core scholastic, as I have already shared with you, that core scholastic can be done when they are doing a lot of group activities. Responsibilities needs to be shared in the group, and we can have a inclusive classroom and gender sensitive classroom. So these are very important things, though we may think that marks are more important, but when we talk about competencies, it is very important, because 21st century skill talks about collaboration, communication, ICT skills. So if the children are given the task to enhance their IT skills while learning of the science, I think there is nothing like that. So they are doing two things together. So these, I think all of you must have understood. That is why I have stressed more on these things, because in science, it is of big use, a great use. No matter if I am drawing anything, if I show the live thing, if I show the picture, that will be better. So words are better than what people see, and when they touch, it becomes even better. Now coming to the 7 E's of a lesson structure. We all are aware about the 7 E's. The first one is the elicit. So the activities, the structure of the activities to find out what the children's ideas about the concepts and skills you are about to explore. So that is what we do in the beginning of the lesson. So by asking the questions, or sometimes by doing the activities also. So if I show them something which they have never seen, so if I take in the class, I'll say I'll take maybe a slide, or I'll fix a slide and put it in under a microscope, or maybe I'll go in the class and perform the simple test for the starch by pouring the iodine on the starch, or maybe I do the litmus test in the basic class. So then by doing this, I will understand that what the children know, whether they are aware of this, whether which level of understanding of that particular concept the children is. So that is how the activities needs to be structured for eliciting that. Second one, again coming to the engagement, because engagement is important. Why it is important? Because attention span is smaller, and when the attention span is smaller, the mind wavers. And when the mind wavers, we lose track of what the teacher is doing in the class. So for that, we need to have a engaged classroom. Engaged classroom means, again, talking about the different activities. So in the online times, we can always, when we are doing the present, I'm showing my PowerPoint, I can ask, okay, this child, now you read this, whatever this. Okay, another child, what do you understand but what it is happening? So when this discussion is happening, everybody is talking, and everybody has that scare in the mind that might take my name in the class. So that is what helps them to keep themselves engaged in the class. So, and they are doing something when they are writing, they are sketching, they are fixing the circuit or anything that they are doing. So the third E is the explore. Provide activities for pupils to explore particular phenomena and generate their own explanation of these phenomena. So this is something, because we want to put a sense of wonder in the child. So when the child has, let's say a child has seen under the microscope the guard cell. So now we can say, okay, now you explain how the guard cell looks like. So this is, guard cell are the part of the stomata for non-biology teachers. So then they will let them say, okay, now let's go, you go and check whether it is the same shape for all the leaves. Like, go and bring another leaf tomorrow in the class, we will do that. So all these things are very, very important for us. Now coming to the next one, next E is the explain. So learners should be provided with opportunities to explain. The same thing as I mentioned earlier, the language is very important. What the child has comprehended to what I am trying to say. So it is very important whenever we have explained something, we should ask 5-6 children in the class, okay, now what I have taught, what have you understood? So each child will have their different learning or interpretation of whatever you have taught in their own words. So then that we are very sure that whatever we are teaching, the child is also understanding. We have to ask them to explain what they have learned so far. And when they know that the teacher will ask them to explain, the children will pay more attention in the class. Again, the engagement will happen and the seriousness or the interest towards learning will take place. Next comes the elaborate. So when we talk about elaboration, we all know it is the application phase. So if I have told the children, okay, this is the definition of a cell. So now we can ask I can ask the children, now you tell me what all the different cell organelles are there. So what is their function? How do they look like? Whether they are same in the plant or in the animals. So we can ask them to elaborate to what they know more than what was discussed in the class. So that give them advantage, or you can say they develop the interest to find out more about what is done in that. So then they are going towards becoming a self-learner by taking the learning of the class and exploring more of what they know about it. Then comes the encounter. So we all know again these misconceptions and the learning gaps have to be filled, and the children needs to be encouraged, and there should be strategy by the teacher to do that. And next comes the evaluate. We all know evaluation is something the teachers do. And when we talk about Cold's learning cycle, we learn by observation, then by doing it, and then what we learn most is when we are thinking. what all went right, what all went wrong. You remember how you learned to ride a bicycle. First, you were observing how your friend was doing it. Then you tried it yourself. You fell down. Then you tried out different ways. And when each time you fell down, you were thinking what went wrong. So, and that is how you started learning. The same goes with the learning of a concept. So when whatever teaching has happened, you let the child undergo metacognition, reflection of what all happened in the class. If the test came negative for, let's say, when we did an experiment in the class and all the children, they got the test in the way desired manner and one child did not get. Sit with the child. What could have gone wrong? What precautions did you miss out? Did you keep a control? And let the child, you probe the child to answer the questions. And then the child will gradually learn whenever any problem comes, any situation comes, they will start to reflect on what all happened throughout the day. So reflection is very important and it is a very important life skill for leadership. Because everybody doesn't come, are not born leaders. They are, leadership is learned by trying out new things, making more mistakes. And each time we make mistakes, we learn 100 new things. But that, we can give the example of Thomas Alva Edison. How many times he failed to make the bulb? But then by reflecting, okay, this will not work. This will not work. So only after 100th trial, he was able to make the bulb. So allow that children to make mistakes, to reflect on what they are learning is all about and help them find answers. We may not know all the answers. We are also not masters of all the topics. The knowledge is so vast. So let's do it, find it out together. Let's take them to the library or do the Google search them ourselves together. So that will help the child to understand, develop that attitude in the child that yes, everybody doesn't know learning and even the elders also learn. So learning doesn't stop when we stop going to school or college. Learning is something that goes on till we end our lives. So I think all the 7 E's have been explained, and those E's are very important when we are doing the let's say doing the lesson planning. So all these aspects we need to keep in mind, and when we are executing the lesson, all these things needs to be there. So when we need to start a lesson, we might all we do is select an activity. So let's say when we are talking about, let's say for a smaller class, let's talk about what all different types of teeth are there. We can ask them, okay, so did you brush your teeth? How do you look after your teeth? Mouth. So what happens in the morning? So all such questions, or maybe we can ask them, okay, observe each other's teeth. It is also very, very common. So then they can know that we have different types of teeth. And then we can show them a picture of an animal. So all these are different activities which we do to initiate any topic. So then, so that is how we have to find out doing that activity. So to know what all the children will know about the content I am going to teach, then how can I link? So connectors are very important. What is their past learning and what we are going to do? So if we are talking about, let's say, photosynthesis, we need to know what the child knows about the nutrition. If I am going to talk about aerobic and anaerobic respiration, I want that whether the child knows about what respiration is about. If I am going to talk about the electronegativity, I should know that the child is aware of the periodic table or not. So this is very important. So we have to do those activities in the class, either in terms of questions or in terms of asking them to perform certain things. So then the purpose of the lesson is very clear, as I have shared in the beginning also. If I am talking about energy conservation without giving them that why it is important, why we need to say avoid the cutting of the trees, why we need to shut down the thermal power plants, why? So because of global warming, how it is going to affect our normal lives, how it is going to affect the lives of the other organisms, our cohabitants in this planet. So the purpose of the lesson is very important, because that takes them that whatever I am learning is not only for scoring marks, but for making a world a better place to live in. And then coming to the how can I explain my learning objective, explaining of learning objective is also very, very important, that unless the child knows, if the child is very new to the concept, So when the child doesn't know about that, what the learning objective is, so how will it, when we're talking about the materials, when we're talking about the rocks, so the child doesn't know what I have to see. Maybe when you take them few different types of rocks in the class, the child will just enjoy playing and doing catching and all that. So we have to tell that to why we are doing this activity, because the earth is made up of different types of rock, and these rocks are also the sources of elements or compounds, or they are the ores. So all these purpose needs to be very deeply clarified why we are going to learn this particular topic in the class or as a part of our science curriculum. Then coming to that, how can I isolate and emphasize the key lesson concepts? So this is very important when I am doing a lesson plan. When I'm writing my learning outcome, we need to know what knowledge will go in today's lesson plan, what concept, knowledge is the concept, what skills the child is going to enhance. So if they are observation skills, analytical skills, thinking skills, creative thinking skills, or maybe the sketching, the diagram, the labeling, the communication. So we have to see that whatever the learning strategies we are using, so when we are performing those learning strategies or implementing that learning strategies, how it is going to influence the learning of concepts, skills, and attitudes in my children. So this is what we have to keep. These are the 5 questions which we need to ask ourselves before writing down the lesson plan. So as a science teacher, I know illustrations I have already mentioned are very important, and then talking about the applications. So what will be the application of let's say a circuit which we have tried to make in the class, a device or different parts of the circuit. So what is the application? You see that in your home, the electricity comes, how it reaches, how it is distributed, whether it is safe, unsafe, open, closed. So there are so many things which you can ask the children to explore. But then again, under the guidance, precautions needs to be told and shared with the parents. So these are the 2 things which, as science teachers, what we draw, what we write. If you remember in your class, aankhein band karke, if you think, the diagram, you draw the same way your teacher used to draw. The structure of the heart, the way the teacher drew, you will be drawing the same way, because it is all imprinted when you are watching and you are drawing yourself. So these are something which, and graphic organizers, how the things are interconnected to each other. So these are all, illustrations are very important for the visual learners. So the auditory learner may be hearing, but then the visual learners will be understanding and learning by observing and looking at what you are showing it to them. So it is very important to illustrate on that. So then few examples of the learning outcome, how, because all these things, we have understood the background of competency. We have learned about the different parts of the lesson plan. We have learned about that the path or the pace is set by the learning outcome. So learning outcome is something very important for competency-based lesson planning, because that tells us what will be the observable change in the child, or what all things, the mastery level of which competency can be seen after execution of the lesson plan. So for example, in science, it will be to identify and develop understanding of concepts, developing ability to acquire and use methods and processes, then build upon the perceptive of basic tools and techniques used in concept to analyze in the various issues. Some examples I have just gathered from the internet. Appreciate how concepts of biology evolve with time, giving importance to historical perspective. So how whatever we are learning today has been the effect of the knowledge, the research done by the scientists over a period of time. So then the child would look forward to becoming a scientist. Some of them, they may do. See, the person has died so long away. Madame Curie, the radioactivity, the X-rays. So the person has done the discovery such long time back, but still we are using, and everything is being improved and enhanced to make life better. So then this will always be at the back of the mind. So historical history of the discovery of vaccines, Robert Koch, Robert Jenner, the penicillin. So all these things are very important to be shared in the class, and can be a part of the learning outcome, that the child will develop appreciation for the work done by the scientist. So that is what is the attitude or the ability to that. Then the nurturing the natural curiosity, aesthetic sense by the, then coming to the imbibing the values of honesty, integrity. So when we are doing the practicals, when we are doing the readings, many of the children, they fudge the readings, they copy the readings. So then if they are fudging the readings in the laboratory, what kind of scientists or what kind of values they will have about integrity and honesty, that whatever the real things are, that needs to be shared with the people. So it is important. Then developing dignity, human rights, equity. So all these are important different types of learning outcomes which we need to emphasize. So now we all, as science teachers or as teachers, we have been talking and learning about the learning objectives. So learning objectives, what was the part of the plan, is now converted into learning outcome. So why learning outcome? Because learning objective was only catering to the cognitive domain of the learning, cognitive domain of the knowledge. So now when we talk about competency based education, we are also looking for the verbs, what all the changes will be there, what behavior the child will show, so what things the child will be able to do. So when we, without knowing about the Bloom's taxonomy, we cannot frame the learning outcome, because that will tell us what kind of teaching and learning strategies we need to follow. Learning outcome directs the teacher to plan the learning strategies. So say, let's say the first, the basic is the remembering, followed by understanding. So when we are doing the learning objective is remembering, so we will find or remember, list, name, identify, locate. The child will be able to name the organism which is shown in the specimen. Identify the, whether it is a animal cell or a plant cell, by observation. Then locate the where the this you can say the dorsal aorta is present in the heart. So all these are remembering. All the child has to do is remember. Understanding or making a sense. So it is our next level, comprehension. Whatever, one is the rote learning, you have learned the definitions, you have learned the processes, but then next is the understanding. So understanding is how you interpret the learning. Okay, the whatever learning has happened, oxidation is this particular type of reaction. So now the understanding will be what is actually happening when we are, and when I say this is an oxidation reaction, so what should I look forward for? That whether the oxygen is being added or hydrogen is being removed, or the electron is being added or electron is being removed. So that is what is my understanding is. Then comes the application, use of information in a new, something new is being given to them. So draw a diagram, make a chart, apply this formula, and calculate and find the distance of find the value of the voltage at the end of the, then solve this numerical, calculate the wavelength. So all these are application based questions. So these are normally we are doing in the class, most of, and these are the rote learning things, but then this is a little higher, and the most, I'll say the higher order thinkings are, which we are talking about giving more weightage to, is creating, evaluating, and analyzing. So when we are doing these things, we are going towards the higher order learning thinking. So if I keep a learning objective that a child will design a city which is a smart city, or maybe a environment friendly city, the child will design a circuit which will let's say a circuit of a traffic light, and when it's a solar based and it is raining, so how will they design it? So something new is being created from the knowledge which the child already has. So now coming to the evaluating, critically examine information to make judgments. So when we are evaluating whatever which is good, whatever is bad, whether Covaxin is good, whether Covishield is good. So we can always, we are evaluating, and it is very important as leaders for decision making. Evaluation is very, very important. Then coming to the analyzing, when we are talking about the analyzing, What is important is categorizing, examining, organizing, comparing, and contrasting. So when these are all the nouns. When we change it into verbs, so you can see that remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. So if our learning objective has these words, so we are only dealing with the lower order of understanding or learning. But then when we start using these verbs, the child will analyze, the child will arrange the elements according to the reactivity series. So again, it becomes I'll say higher order thinking question. Evaluate. So all these are the verbs. The create, all these are the verbs. So I think all of you have understood that just by using the right verb, we will be able to describe or make a learning objective into a learning outcome. So, and these learning outcomes have to be first for the concept, that is the knowledge, then for the skill, and then for the attitude. Ask model, I always say to remember attitude, skill, and knowledge, the cognitive, the psychomotor, and the affective domain. So when we have all the, because human is not just brain, it is an individual, it has a heart, it has feelings, it has values. So we have to see that these things are imbibed while teaching of science, without having special life skills or value education classes in that. So keeping in mind now what all you have learned, so we will find out in which category of the Bloom's taxonomy this will fall. So identify the saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. So those who have not seen, we can go back. Identify falls in the remember. So this category. So like this you can see and find out. Relate. So in which category the relate will be, sorry, I've gone. Relate. So where will we find relate? Just see, go through this, you will find relate. Have you found out where relate is in this? It must be in application, they are able to relate. Nobody is able to relate, find relate. Recall, recite, recognize, record, repeat, reproduce. Relate is in analysis. You can see that relate is in analysis. So the same way, list the properties of covalent compound, justify the use of IUPAC names, compare the properties of ionic and covalent compounds, write the IUPAC name, give examples, create a report. So create a report on the effects of different types of fats available in the market on human health. So then predict. So all these last two are higher order thinking questions. Create is in the creating, and evaluate coming in the evaluation. So when we are using the right verbs, we are going to design the right learning outcome or right learning objective for us. So for some examples, once again, let's say differentiates organisms, phenomena. The child will be able to differentiate organisms, phenomena, and processes based on certain characteristics and salient features. The child will be able to classify organisms. The child will be able to classify phenomena and processes based on certain characteristics and features. Then we'll be able to apply scientific terminology. Scientific terminology is very important in the way, because that is why those terminology is the certain things of the science. It cannot be, the certain things of the science cannot be understood by when we are going for international conferences. That is why the IUPAC names are, the scientific terms are. So all these are very important, that these things needs to be ingrained in that. The child will be able to relate the processes and phenomena. The child will be able to make linkages, draws label diagram, flow chart, concept maps. All these are the examples of learning outcome. The child will be able to write floral formula in technical language. We all forget. We'll be able to prepare slides, again a skill, for the structural intricacies of life forms in the transfer section of root, stem, and leaves. So these are what we talked about were the learning outcomes. So once we have decided about the learning outcomes, we will be talking about the learning activities. So when we say learning activities, will be graphic organizers, creative play, peer presenting performances, role play, debates, game making projects. So all these are the examples of the learning activities. We can have either one, two, or a mixture of two or three. The more we have, the variety we have, differentiated learning will take place, more engaged our class will be. So some of the examples can be debate. We can see the group work, peer teaching happening, and we can see that the gender sensitivity has been taken care of. Flow charts have been, whatever we have taught, we have asked the children to put it in the form of a flow chart, a graphic organizer to describe for the illustration. Then of course the laboratory activities which we need to do. Then coming to that cooperative groups forming, inquiry based teaching strategy we can have, where the problem statement is given to the group. They collect the data based on that, how to reduce the electricity bill. The group can be made, the children can go and look at the power of the different equipment which is present in the households of different people. They can collect the data. Some children can be then on the basis of the analysis of the data, they will represent it in the form of graphs or pie charts or in other forms of tables. They will analyze and then they will draw a conclusion. So this is something inquiry based teaching strategy. This can also be implemented in the classes where when we have done the basic concepts. So when we're talking about the application of whatever knowledge we have, so we can use this as that. So then the direct, all these are cooperative groups in direct instruction, where the teacher is talking, interactive teaching is happening, teacher is asking questions, children are answering, discussion is happening, differentiation means different things are being done in the class. So this is the background of all which we have talked, and now I will be sharing briefly about the lesson plan, how it appears in keeping all the things which we have spoken about so far, keeping the competency based education, keeping the learning outcomes, keeping the learning strategies, keeping the engagement of the class, keeping the core scholastic activities happening in that. So this is a unit plan first I will share, and then we'll come to the lesson plan of that. So life processes is the topic. The key concepts, as we have already shared in the nutrition, are definition and need of nutrition, types of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition. So all these are the different key concepts which the child needs to understand in this particular unit. Then the resources, as I mentioned to you. So the resources used will be the NCRT textbook, all these. Then the internet e-resources are now very important. You can find a lot of good, beautiful videos, explanations done. Then the digital tools, Minecraft and Flipgrid are all there, where the children can write their ideas and post-its. So these are very important. Then biology lab apparatus, now online. CBSE has also launched that online labs can be done. Then the model can be there. Then the worksheets. So all these are the resources which the teachers needs to prepare. Then coming to the teaching learning strategies. So teaching learning strategies, that is first the child teacher is going to ask certain question. The different processes, we will make the children familiar with the different concepts, the definitions. Then some illustrations can be done, some questioning will be done, explanation, demonstration, exploration, elaboration, making connections between the two and strengthen the understanding. So all these things will be done. Then coming to the learning outcome again. So the students, the cognitive, again the thing, the knowledge. So please pay attention very carefully, because once the learning outcomes are in place, your lesson plan is in place. So what will be we are talking about the different competencies, different level of masteries. Define nutrition, importance of nutrition in the life of organism, classify the modes of nutrition, predict the modes of nutrition, distinguish between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition, explain the role of stomata, describe the concept of photosynthesis, compare the difference, justify the absence of specialized organs of nutrition in unicellular organism, correlate various organs of digestion in human beings with their functions, comprehend the process of digestion in human beings. So these are the learning objectives for knowledge. For attitude or affective domain, appreciate the role of organs, appreciate the role of stomata. Psychomotor skills, draw the structure of stomata, structure of human alimentary canal, demonstrate the experiment that light is necessary for photosynthesis. So now how the plan appears like. So the different topics are there for the maybe for the entire month to be covered for the unit plan, the concepts which I have already shared with you. Then the teaching strategies, you can see for different concept, we have a different teaching strategy. And for each teaching strategy, we have a different assessment strategy. So for example, if, when for this concept of life processes, we can have a small video, we can have a discussion, and some questions needs to be asked. And how will we assess? We will ask the children to draw the mind map for life processes. So in a way, the child is drawing the mind map, enhancing the skill, and at the same time, we are assessing them for their learning. It is there. Then coming to the nutrition, again the teaching strategy, is there appropriate questions, discussion. Then the graphic organizers can be done. Then the temporary mount, the children will be assessed to prepare notes, drawing and labeling of diagram, recording activity on photosynthesis in the file. So then coming to the again to this concept, a video can be showed, drawing the diagrammatic representation of nutrition in amoeba can be done. So developing a flow chart. So we can see when we plan that which concept will be taught in by using which teaching strategy, the assessment strategy can be done. So now coming to the lesson plan, after the unit plan, we need to form the lesson plan. So again, I have shown, I will not repeat. You can go through the slide and see that the key concepts, the resources used, the teaching learning strategies, which the teachers will be using. Then what will be the learning outcome, as I have shown, appreciate, draw, demonstrate, previous knowledge testing will also be done by asking the questions in the class. Difference between living and non-living, all these things, why do we need food? Then coming to the third part, the presentation, when the teacher is actually going in the class, so the teacher will introduce the topic, she will be carrying some food, will be showing some food, talking some questions, talking about the starch and how the starch is stored. What will be this is how the child teacher will introduce the topic by simply showing certain things and asking questions. Then the next is that the teacher will be initiating the discussion on photosynthesis. Then the children will be participating in the discussion. They will draw the flow chart. They will make the notes of photosynthesis and find out the role of chlorophyll. Then the role of chlorophyll, the teacher will be observing the cross section of leaf, and the teacher will show the activity on variegated leaf of croton plant and show that chlorophyll is necessary. So what the children will do, will observe the slide, will draw the cross section, record the activity in their practical notebook, which is very important. Then the stomata, again, it will be observed, it will be drawn, and all that this will be done. So in the whole class, what we see is everything is planned, that whatever topic the teacher has planned the activity, and that what the children will be doing is also predetermined. That is why the class is a engaged class. So in the worksheet, we can ask in the end, because it is very important after because whatever the activities we have done, the child needs to reflect on the learning. So this is where the learning will take place, when the child is attempting the worksheet. So we can ask in the worksheet, what is the site of the photosynthesis? We can ask what are the cell organelles which are required, which pigment is possible, raw materials which we required, all in the point form. Then the equations for photosynthesis, all this can be done in the form of a, you can say, worksheet. So based on the worksheet, we will be able to assess in which topic we need the remediation or we need to bridge the learning gap, and by using a different mode of teaching learning. So you can see this is a home assignment. I have bold this one because this is of a higher order thinking level, because their child has been given a situation. They have to rethink and find out what will be its impact on that. So the child is evaluating and assessing what all will be the impact of applying the Vaseline while blocking the stomata. So this is a higher order thinking. So in the class assignment, we can give few direct questions for the approachers and the meters, and then for the achievers, we need to have such things, such questions, so that their mind is also triggered for that. And then in the next class, we can discuss this question in the class, so that the approachers and the meters also, they are aware of this learning happening. Then comes the review and remediation, as I've already shared. So once it is decided where are the learning gaps, we can take extra classes, we can give some extra topics, videos and other resources can be shared for that. So now, as this is an online era, many of us may talk about, this is about, okay, it is in a normal classroom, what is happening, but then what will happen when in the online era? So again, the learning outcomes will remain same. The learning activities will because we can exchange our voices, we can exchange our opinion. So all these discussions can happen. We can show the things. The only thing is that the hands-on. But then the children are doing wonderful projects in art-based, when they are using the things which are present in the homes. So that is what. So the assessment can be done when we give them the work. Okay, you make a PowerPoint on, let's say, aerobic respiration. Another group does on the anaerobic respiration. So when we may give them different tasks and they work them and they present. So that is how the assessment takes place. Next comes the digital resources. Of course, the whiteboards, the PowerPoint, and the screen sharing. All these will be used. E-resources, the videos can be shared, and the PDFs and the online labs. So I think all of you have understood that when we decide that we have to implement certain things, there are all the things are possible in the digital world also. So now, to coming to the end of this session and talking about the last topic, and that is the questions based on competency based learning. So we all have understood that the competency based questioning are higher order thinking. They are not memory and recall based. So they are necessarily, they are conceptual understanding as required. Critical thinking, problem solving skills are enhanced. In for class 9th and 10th, 30% of the questions, now the boards are not happening, but then next year, if they happen, so it will be 30% weightage will be given to the competency based questions. So as you know that competency based questions cannot be learned. There will be a new situation, new things will be given to create, to evaluate, to assess, to analyze. So it is important that the concepts needs to be very, very clear. So multiple choice questions, case studies, source-based integrated questions are all the part of competency-based questions. So they are definitely going to test the higher order thinking. So one example I am sharing with you. Let me put my picture here. Yeah. So the case study, we can see that the student in a school listened to the news, read in the morning assembly that the mountain of garbage in Delhi suddenly exploded and various vehicles got buried under it. Several people were also injured and there was traffic jam all around. In the brainstorming session, the teacher also discussed this issue. Finally, they arrived at two main points. One is self-management of the garbage we produce, and the second is to generate less garbage. So the teacher is asking, suggest two measures to manage the garbage we produce. Uh, an individual answer, how can you reduce the garbage? As an individual, how can you reduce the garbage? And list the two values the teacher has taught. So it is very, very important. It is very easy to have a case study kind of a thing, a story, an example, a news item can be given based on the lesson which we are dealing with, and that is how we can do. Then coming to when we have to compare, you can see, compare and analyze, evaluate. The two types of circuits are given for the physics teachers. So we can see that one is a series and another one is a parallel one. So we have to find a multiple choice questions. So the total potential difference across a combination of a resistor in a series is equal to, the child will be finding out. So while the child is assessing, evaluating, they are also learning. So one thing, assessment is being used as learning. So their child will, the ones who have not all that competent, will at least learn how a series circuit looks out. Coming to the next question. Then the story-based NGO is opposing construction of dam on a river flowing through a number of villages. So list the three problems which arise due to construction of big dams. Suggest a solution to these problems. So the children will be knowing that how the stagnation affects the ecosystem, affects the aquatic life, and a lot of biodiversity is lost in that. Then in chemistry, you can talk about an element X belongs to the third period. And group 16, find out the valency, molecular formula, name the element, whether it's, so based on the periodic table, you can see the children, the teacher, the learning of knowledge of the periodic table, the children will be able to answer these questions. So then how to make the competency-based questions, as I've given several examples and I've been explaining that competency-based questions are nothing difficult. The only thing is we need to focus on the learning outcomes and the ask model, ki what skill we will be testing, what attitude will be testing, and what cognitive will be testing. So when we focus on the learning outcome, all the verbs I have already shared with you becomes very, very easy for us. So then we can find out. Then we use the verbs from the Bloom's higher order thinking skill levels. Then we create a story. We use newspaper articles. We use graphs for prediction. We use charts for predicting and analyzing, and how to recreate by modifying the so give variation of the facts taught, that is values are changed, interchanged of the conditions may happen. So if the plant is kept in a AC air condition, whether the photosynthesis will happen, or if it's in an open area, whether a plant without the leaf will perform photosynthesis. So all these questions can we can say these different situations can be given. Then connecting two concepts of different branches of science, that is respiration as chemical reaction and resultant increase in temperatures impact on environment on body. So the two different branches can be, we can say, connected together and to find out how the impact will be there. So that is one thing affects the other one. Then giving them to create a hypothetical organism. You create by using the digital tool, or in terms of words, or maybe a draw a diagram, what kind of organism will survive in the Mars. Mars has a temperature, climatic temperature, there's no vegetation grows, no water. So this is something to create. So all these are, we will know, the child will find out whether the child knows about the situation of the Mars. So what is the impact of the situation on the design of the organism? It is there. Then give them a problem to solve, give them a real life problem. You draw a traffic light which works in all the climatic conditions using the solar energy. Give them a problem. Give them a problem now in that how a lot of apps are being made by the children. Lots and lots of apps are in the these days. So all these are competency based. The child are devising apps that when the slot is free for the vaccine, all that. Then storytelling can be one of the competency. You narrate the story, how the vaccine was, so the children can dress up like the scientists and tell them how the vaccines can develop, how are the different ways by which they are doing. Then the representation of learning through art, we all are aware now, a lot of art integration has already happened, webinars also have happened, and we have done it successfully for a year. So again, that is also when we are representing knowledge in different form. So that is the reflection is happening, and then the learning has actually happened. And then coming to the last point, and that is the self-learner. We need to encourage the children to be a self-learner by encouraging them for researching and exploration. So you tell them that you find out ways by which a cactus can grow in water. So they will find out the research, whether it is possible or not possible. They will evaluate that it is possible or not possible. So these are the things that we can give them tasks, but then knowing that the child's knowledge is of which level. So that is how we can plan a lesson plan. And thank you for patiently understanding and listening. I hope this was useful to all of you. And once again, I think the key is I have given you the tips also. I have given you the tricks also. I have given you the ready-made examples also. Now the only thing is that you all need to find a way of implementing in the classroom, because background I've already set up. So what is the purpose? If the goals of the competency-based education are not met, then what is the point in doing that? So thank you, everybody. And now over to Ishita.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was a wonderful session, and the comment box speaks for itself. So thank you so much, ma'am. Now we will move forward to some question and answers. Though, ma'am, you have already covered many queries which were sent to us. There are a few queries which I would like to highlight, and you can inform us about this. So the first query that we have is, what would you suggest for primary level science activities?
Primary level, there are depends again on the concept which we want to teach. Let's say I remember even in the kindergarten stage, I'll tell you, we have that sensory thing. We give all the five sense organs we need to, the children needs to know. So we give them, we close their eyes, we give them different tastes. Let's say sweet, they will I'll say a bowl will be there, the child will be blindfolded. We will ask them, okay, you taste this thing, whether it is sweet, whether it is sour, whether it is, so that is how they learn that the tongue also has these kind of tastes which we can do. So simple thing as this, and then talking about the different stages of development of seeds. So we can ask, even in this lockdown time, we can ask the children, okay, you take a wet cotton, put a one pulse or a whole grain in there and see how the stages of development takes place. So, and then we talk about the air. The air has space, so ask them to blow a balloon and see that the balloon size increases, and then we can ask them to put up on a balance, the balance also will move. So every scientific concept can be done through an activity, and then activity can be done by the children. So when we encourage children to do that, and these activities, the learning happens, that is there. So I think I have answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. The other question is, how many critical questions should be there in a question paper?
See, critical thinking is a part of the competency-based questions. So what I feel, what normally the CBSE says for 9th and 10th, 30% competency-based questions. But then for a normal, let's say class 5 or in the middle school, we all know that the percentage of critical thinking questions needs to be 10 to 15%, not more than that.
Yes.
Because the concepts are being built during these stages. So they will only start because everything is new to them. So very few things which the children will be able to go to the next level.
Right. Ma'am, what is the difference between competency-based questions and the HOTS question which we have?
Yes. See, I think in the presentation also, I said competency-based questions falls in the higher order thinking skills. So higher order thinking questions are competency-based questions, but then in HOTS, we are only talking about the cognitive, the mind. We are not touching the attitudes or the skills or the affective domain of the learning. So that needs to be, when we add that to the HOTS questions, it becomes a competency-based question. So you can say we add the values which we will be nurturing in the child. So then it becomes a HOT question can be converted into a competency-based question.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And there is one question: is visual presentation becoming a threat to conventional learning skills of students?
See, nothing can be threat. When I remember I was a teacher in 90s when the smart boards came, and everybody said, "Ab to school teachers ki job khatre mein hai. Smart boards aa gaye, ab wahi chalega." Teachers are still there. So nothing can replace a teacher, but yes, the technology has given, let's say, tools to the teachers to make the lesson effective. So, and now with the digital libraries also, the search has become so much easier. So we can easily search anything, and whatever we were turning the pages and finding out the facts has become so much of easier. So when a real image, we say 1,000 words are, a picture is better than 1,000 words. A video is better than a picture. So that is how I think whatever we are showing, a visual thing is happening in the online era. It is not threatening to the teachers. It is always enhancing the way what the teacher wants to do with the children. That is
right, ma'am. Now, ma'am, we have already spoken about students having different levels at different levels. So do we need to create different lesson plans for them?
No. Teachers are also human, and if you in the lesson plan, I said that learning activities have to be different. So we all know, according to multiple intelligence, there are 7 to 8 types of learners: the visual, the kinesthetics, the interpersonal, the intrapersonal, the naturalist. So when we have 2 or 3 activities in whatever concept we are teaching, so that is going to cater to the engagement of the learners. Then second comes the level, the average ones, the weaker ones, and the smarter ones. So we should, in the learning strategies or the learning activities we choose, should be the ones which will be helping the children to be engaged, and at the same time they will also help the children to understand that. So lesson plans need not be made, but a variety of learning strategies and the student activities need to be added, or you be flavored. The lesson plan needs to be flavored with the learning activities of by the teachers and by the students, which I have already mentioned, a variety of learning activities.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there was one question about how to incorporate independent learning. So I would just reframe it: how to motivate children to be independent learners.
Yes. It is a difficult thing, but then when we give the responsibility of learning, when we give the confidence that a child can learn on its own, when we appreciate whatever little the child says in the class, we are all nurturing, giving them the nurturing the child with this becoming a self learner. Why a child learns? The child learns because they enjoy learning it. So when we give them lot of activities which they are doing while they are having fun, the child will automatically go do more of that. When they go do more of what they are learning, naturally what happens is the child's questioning also starts. You can say we are nurturing the questioning, and then the child start looking for answers. They go to their elders in the family, or now they search on the net, they talk to the teachers. So how to make a self learner is by encouraging children, giving them lot of opportunities to share what they have learned, what they have explored, to encouraging what questions that arise in their mind, and of course by not judging the children for making the mistakes, because learning happens जब तक गिरोगे नहीं तब तक सीखोगे नहीं. So जितना गिरोगे उतना appreciate करो. Oh, you tried this thing, that means now you know this is how this is not going to happen. So a lot of encouragement needs to be done. And then definitely when we start doing competency based learning in the classroom, in the lesson plan, we will give a task for the child to do after the school hours, which is not going to be directly related. It is going to be, I'll say, directed towards the passion which the child has. If a child needs to, learn about whatever the passion the child has, we need to give them those tasks. So then they start enjoying having fun. So they will become independent learners.
Yes, very well said, ma'am. Like for us as educators, we need to ignite that passion in them. And as you already covered in your PPT, the empathy we have to show even when they have answered incorrectly.
Yes.
We have to be that empathetic towards them. Ma'am, rest for questions about projects-based learning, how to inculcate activities. You have covered them all in the presentation. I'll just take one last question, which you in her way have already taken up, but I'll just finish off the session, this question answer session, with the last question: how to make differentiated lessons during online teaching.
Yes. See, again, as I tell you, differentiation is like we have different types of learner coming from background, socio-economic background, intelligence background, and exposure, and the digital divide also. So asynchronous is the way. Asynchronous way is to have that in the whatever the teacher is teaching, the teacher can share the PowerPoint with the children. Those who want to revisit that, the video recording can be shared, the PDF can be shared. So when we are sharing whatever we are doing, and then give lot of opportunities for the children to participate in the class. So when we are giving that, we are able to judge the children, not judge, evaluate or assess the children at what level they are. So whenever they are able to do this, it is, I'll say, I have answered that the differentiation learning is happening by giving them, let's say, the ones who are good in IT, we can tell them, okay, you make a PowerPoint of 3 slides and explain this topic. Then the ones who like to narrate stories, when we can talk them about whatever the concept, who is the, find out, go and find out the scientist. and tell the story of how this thing happened, the story. So all these things definitely gives a chance to all types of learners, even during the online time. So in asynchronous learning is something which helps a lot, because everything can't be done in the class. So the ones who need more help, the recordings can be shared, the PDF can be shared, the PowerPoints can be shared, so that they can revise that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope all the questions have been answered. So this was a wonderful amalgamation of concepts coupled with skills. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an enriching experience. I am sure this has given us a new vision to evaluate our teaching strategies and showed us ways to structure our lesson plans for better learning outcomes and a lifelong learning. On that note, let me convey my immense gratitude to Mr. Benny George for gracing the occasion with his presence. Now, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to CBSE Bharat Sahodaya Complex, Dr. Abdul Salam Sir, for bringing us all together and creating learning opportunities for all of us every week. I would like to convey my gratitude to Mr. Shibu, Ms. Jayanti, and Mr. Biju Espellai for all their selfless dedication and commitment. This event has been possible by the cooperation and under the vision of our wonderful IT and technical department, Mr. Arun Mohan sir and Mr. Arafat sir. Thank you, team. And not to forget, a huge thanks to all of you present and for your such wonderful enthusiastic participation. With a promise to meet again on either side of the screen, I would now request Dr. Abdul Salam sir to wind up the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Ishita ma'am. Thank you for the nice job you have done. And I don't know how to thank Poonam ma'am. Hats off to you, ma'am. You are an awesome science teacher, and your teachers are very lucky to get a principal like you. And you have dealt the session in depth, in very deep, rooted form. You have explained, and all areas you have covered. Lots of examples also, and we didn't know 2 hours have passed by, and participants, when I said Poonam Saxena ma'am is the smartest principal, you must have come to know now why she is. See, she can lead any session. I don't know how this energy, this energy level you are keeping up. So very grateful to you, ma'am, for enlightening us, enriching us, and more than that, I'm amazed at the dedication and the passion of the teaching fraternity. Many have been noting down each and every point and very passionately listening to you, and passing, giving lots of comments, and we are very happy. And you have added one more feather to Bharat Sahodaya. The credit goes to Poonam Saxena ma'am and all the participants and the team and the moderator Ishita ma'am, everybody. Thank you so much. Keep in touch. And participants are asking whether this PPT can be emailed to them. Poonam ma'am?
Yes, sir. I have no issues. You can
Okay,
definitely share that.
Yeah, we will share you the emails, the PPT through the emails. If you have any doubt, it is live on YouTube now. You can watch it later, and lots of points you can, take away, and you can work on that to implement in the classroom. Definitely, we are spending, amidst all of the work, we are spending this much time, but definitely this is going to help the students and finally in resulting in the benefit of the nation. You are true nation builders. Yes. We are very proud of you. Thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. Thanks everyone. Ishida ma'am, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.